as a man of God. His nickname is a man after God's own heart. He's this boy who's plucked out of obscurity, the youngest son who just took care of sheep, and he's made into the most powerful man in the nation, and certainly in the entire surrounding area. He's famous throughout the land, even in other nations, for his intelligence, his cunning, his strategy, his boldness. Jesus came as a son of David. He's the one who the prophets say sits on the throne of David. King David and King Jesus are indelibly tied together. A lot of our Christian life is affected by this guy named David. We sing songs that he wrote 3,000 years ago today. A lot of us read and take comfort in Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. That's what we say during our toughest times. That was written by David. Jesus quotes Psalm 22 from the cross to convey the depth of his agony, his commitment to God. My God, why have you forsaken me? That was written by David. When we sinned, we read Psalm 51. Have mercy on me, O God, according to your unfailing love, according to your great compassion, blot out my transgressions, wash away my iniquity, cleanse me from sin. Those were written by David. See, the Psalms of David are the emotional language of believers. And they all pass through David's lips first. I reviewed the life of David this week. I went through all the books and scanned over his story. And if there was one word that I would use to describe David, it would be the word boring. Right? Still with me? No? Okay. I mean passionate. He never did anything halfway. He was like a loaded gun. He's like a sledgehammer. When he went off, stuff happened. When he succeeded, ripple effects brought gifts and joy to everyone around him. When he blew it, he was like an atomic bomb going off. It just wreaked havoc on everybody. David was a man filled with jet fuel. Consider a couple of the episodes from his life. You've heard of this guy named Goliath, right? David and Goliath. Goliath is up there. Why did David come running out there in the first place? The reason he went out there is because Goliath was insulting the people of God, and by extension, God himself. And it just threw David into a rage. 1 Samuel 17:26 says, "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" And within a short time, this young boy, David, this shepherd boy, is standing in front of King Saul, who, by the way, is the tallest man in the nation and is a great warrior himself. And he's saying, "Let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him." In other words, don't worry about it. I'll take care of him. This was not words of pride. This was not words, he had no concern for himself. He was motivated by this pure anger towards this man who had insulted God. And he wanted to go take care of him. 2 Samuel 6, we read about David bringing the ark back into the city of God, Jerusalem. And this is a big deal. But he's not standing there in his royal robes like the queen, waving and saying, thank you, I've done a great job, yes. What we read about, here's what we read. As the ark is entering Jerusalem, so David, where are we here? So David went down and brought up the ark of God from the house of Obed-Edom to the city of David with rejoicing. When those who were carrying the ark of the Lord had taken 6 steps, he sacrificed a bull and a fatted calf. David, wearing a linen ephod, danced before the Lord with all his might. Well, he and the entire house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouts of sound and trumpets. David put on a worship time that is unprecedented. Every time they took 6 steps, another animal was slaughtered. Everybody who had a trumpet was playing a trumpet. Everybody with an instrument was playing with an instrument. He led the dancing. He led the music. And he danced with every fiber of his being. He worshiped God with everything he had. He didn't care what he looked like while doing it. He was just abandoned to God, and he didn't care who saw. And then his wife comes and she challenges him and says, "Don't you know what other people are saying? Look what you look like out there." And this was David's reply. "I will celebrate before the Lord. I will become even more undignified than this. I will be humiliated in my own eyes." He says, "It doesn't matter how I look or sound or what others think. I am so overwhelmed with love and thanksgiving and worship for God, I don't care what other people think. I'm worshiping." Passion, focused. But then we read about other parts of his life. And his messes were just as catastrophic. In 1 Samuel, we read of David almost wiping out an entire family because they wouldn't give him anything to eat. See, David feels snubbed. He feels unappreciated. He gets angry. He finds 400 of his closest friends, and he's about to decimate an entire whole farm when the wife comes up and begs for mercy. If it were not for Abigail, David would have went in and destroyed and slaughtered them all, because he was insulted. Of course, the most famous of his messes was, 1 Samuel 27, we read about David escaping to live with his enemy, the Philistines, a bad idea. He starts to work for them as a mercenary. But to make sure that David wasn't found out by the Philistines, he would not just kill the soldiers when he went to war, he would kill every man, woman, and child in the area. That wasn't sanctioned by God. That wasn't something God wanted him to do. And it was probably one of the big reasons why he wasn't allowed to build the temple later. Because he had so much blood on his hands. And of course, the most famous one, right, is David's passion out of control in regards to Bathsheba in 2 Samuel 11. See, he's supposed to be at war. He's supposed to be out there doing what he's supposed to do as a king, but he stays home and he gets bored. A bored man full of jet fuel is trouble waiting to happen. Okay? Here's your life application. And so in boredom, he looks over the balcony and he sees Bathsheba. And you can just light the fuse. And he's stupid and he doesn't walk away. He doesn't close his eyes and go take a shower. He just sends for her. Commits adultery. Kills her husband. Uses all that passion and skill and cunning to focus on the wrong thing, puts it all to work so he can gain pleasure for himself, all of his influence, all of his power, all of everything he has, all of his smarts, trying to get rid of the husband, all focused in the wrong direction. And he's decimating families as it gets out of control. So in light of all this, I have a few questions for you to ponder. Number one, are you letting yourself be passionate? Or are you pushing down your passions out of some kind of false modesty or some kind of fear? God gave you those passions. They're designed to be the fuel by which you serve Him. Are you keeping the fuel in the tank, pretending it's not there? When you come to worship, whether here or at home, or if you're in the car, do you allow yourself to be free to worship, or do you hold back? Afraid that someone might see you and see your passion and judge you. Second, do you even know your passions? What are they? I've sat with groups and I've asked this. What's your life just motivated?